Hello, this is Bhanu from Ladybird. We're very excited to launch the first edition of Faveo. This is the first video in the series of how to use and work on Faveo. And in this first video, I'm going to show you how to install Faveo. Before we get started with the installation process, let's go ahead and look at the minimum requirement that is required to install Faveo. Today I am going to be using a shared server with cPanel installed on it. And this is the minimum requirement that we will need for the Faveo to work. And the requirement is very simple. You need at least PHP version 5.4 and you need to have some PHP extensions enabled. And these are the 4 extensions which should be enabled before we install Faveo, which is mcrypt, OpenSSL, mbstring, tokenizer. Once you have the minimum requirement fulfilled, what you can do is you can log into GitHub and you can download the latest edition of Faveo. Faveo comes with an inbuilt auto installer which will easily install the Faveo on your server. And once you have downloaded the Faveo file, what you can do is you can copy the Faveo file on your server. I'm using cPanel, and if you log into cPanel and file manager, you can copy the file. In my case, I have copied the file to the support folder. You can also use an FTP client to copy the file. You can use FileZilla or any FTP client to copy the files. So let's get back to the installation again. I've already, for the sake of simplicity, I've already copied all the files here inside the support folder. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and start with the installation step. So this is my domain. My domain is called jambooribliss.com, and as soon as I open jambooribliss.com/support the first time, automatically the installer will start, and the Faveo will keep a track of once the application is installed. The setup file will run only the first time. The second time, once the installation is complete, the installer will not run. So it's a step-by-step installer. Let's just go step by step and see what all information is required here. The first step of the installer is license agreement. If you want, you can go ahead and read the license agreement. It's like a small pop-up. So once you have read the license agreement, you can check on I accept the license agreement and click next. In case you don't check it, the next button will not work. So next step, it's a probe. It is basically going to test that your server is fulfilling the minimum requirement or not. In my case here, all the requirements have been fulfilled. In case some requirement is not being fulfilled, you'll see a warning or an error message. Warning is not a deal breaker. You can still go ahead and install Faveo. It might not work properly, but it's not really a deal breaker. It might work, but error is really a deal breaker. Most of the features in Faveo will not work if there is an error. So I would suggest rectifying the error, and usually the errors at this stage, the error is related to the extensions which are required or the classes PHP extensions which are required for Faveo to work. So this is a very important step, and after this step I go to the next step. And in this step I'm just choosing what language I want the Faveo to work in. Currently Faveo supports only English. We have this page only for the future version. And you can choose your time zone. In my case, I'm going to choose India time zone. And you can define your date format. How do you want the date to be published inside the Faveo? And once you choose your time zone, also always when you see the time zone in Faveo, it will show in your in the time zone that you have selected. And of course, you can later on also change the time zone or the language or the date format. In this step, we need to enter our database details. In my case, I'm using cPanel, and I've already created a database in the cPanel. And I've also created a user that I have associated with this database. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the database details here. In my case, in the cPanel, the host name is localhost. I'm just going to go ahead and copy my database details here. Okay, now the database, it says database connection is successful. It was just the test. It was just testing if the database credentials are correct or not. Uh, Even at this stage, the installation is not yet complete. It's just tested the connection. Okay, now this is where I'm creating an account on Faveo. This is the first account, the admin account that will be used to access Faveo. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in my details. Okay. Okay, so at this stage the application got installed and it takes me to the login screen, and now if I try to go back, the installer will not open. It will take me to the login screen. So that takes me to the home page and I can log in here. Okay, so I'm logged into the system. I'm not going to go ahead in this video talking more about how Faveo works. This video was purely about installing. In the next video we will cover how Faveo is working, and we'll get more into details, go over the settings, various settings that are available and various features which are available. For now, this is it. Goodbye.